AK,
Do better.
How much of the Laker positioning situation, 10th spot right now in the Western Conference? I've never heard Ireland so animated, a part of this conversation, how frustrated he was yesterday after that loss against the Sacramento Kings. How much of this is on Darvin Ham?
I think there's a good chunk on Darvin. Like, it's obviously not all Darvin. Like, the players are out there. They're the ones that ultimately have to execute.
But your coach is very important.
I think, though, a big problem has been, A, some of Darvin's decisions, but B, how much I think he has been losing the locker room in a lot of ways because of his decisions that I think they not only don't always make sense to me, but you get a strong sense they don't make sense to the people
players
in the locker room.
Sure.
And there have been so many different times between either not just body language, but flat out soft questioning of what were we doing out there. You know, most recently, Anthony Davis talking about how the defensive schemes allowed Malik Monk or De'Aaron Fox to get to their spots, or, you know, because of what we're doing, I have to go occupy Sabonis somewhere else. I can't be in two places at once. As much as AD may not have been the right messenger in that moment because he didn't play well for reasons that go beyond Darvin's schemes, doesn't mean he was wrong. Like, both, he can still be right even if he's not the guy you want to hear from in that moment.
Well, let me kind of put it this way, because I think there's a lot of people that feel Darvin Ham, I think there's a respect that he gets from the players. I do think that I
think there was a respect that he got more last year than this year.
Could be.
It's felt much more like he had a buy-in last year than this year.
And listen, maybe last year too, you got to a point of the season, once you made that trade, you had new players come in, and they were rolling. So it's a lot easier to believe in something when you're playing well. When they end the season out 18-8 or whatever it was, and then all of a sudden they got to the Western Conference Finals. So nobody expected that as well. You get buy-in also when you're winning, and when you're not winning, that's the, I think, bigger question mark.
Well, the other thing too, last year with Darvin, he was new. So by definition, a first-time head coach is going to have a certain amount of learning curve. You just have to accept it. But also, I think anybody being honest with themselves on that team last year knew our roster's limited. And like this Russ piece of it all, we're going to have to work through it. It's going to be limiting because of both Russ's fit on the team and also how much cap space he takes up.
Yeah.
The pieces that we can't get because so much salary is focused on one guy. Like, to some degree, I think there was an acceptance of there's only so much we can expect from Darvin to X and O our way out of this. This year, the season began with much less grace along those lines.
Of course. The expectations changed.
Yeah.
Now you were coming off a Western Conference Finals. You had some continuity. I guess the
you
question...
expect him to get better.
I guess the question I have is, if this is the conversation a lot of people are having, how much is Darvin Ham right now coaching for his job moving forward? Because if I play out a scenario to you, they don't make the playoffs. I mean, I don't.
Out.
I was just going to say, I don't really see a scenario where you say, hey, let's try to run this thing back next year. Okay, let's say they make the playoffs, but they lose in the first round and they drew Denver. Denver's the number 1 seed, Lakers are number 8. Does that change anything? And that's, I think, part of the point that I'm coming across to is, it's one thing to say, why is Darvin doing this? Why is Darvin doing that? Does he have the buy-in of his players? How does his team relax up 19 against the Kings in such an important game, and then it churns so quickly? Could we be sitting here a couple months from now in a scenario that says Darvin Ham is still there and a scenario that says Darvin Ham is not still there?
We can talk about it more later in the show, but I actually think that this question with Darvin even goes deeper than what you were talking about just there.
Okay.